Hey Dave, hey Dominic. We're going to be getting just started just a couple of minutes late, so give me a minute and we'll get things rolling.
Okay, I got it figured out. Wow, what a mess.
Hey, sorry about that. All right, yeah. So Adam, we've got a couple people coming in now. We'll give a little bit of time to let a few more people roll in, and then we'll get started. Technology gets us all sometimes.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
it happens to the
yeah.
best of us.
So for anybody listening, everybody that's joined so far, anybody listening in, where are you guys joining us from? And how'd you find out about this? You come in from Adam's community, from the launch control community. Where are you coming in from? You can add comments to the chat or the Q&A section. Both are open. And then for everyone, we're going to record this obviously, and we'll send the all right, 7FF community, great. We'll send the recording to everybody and give people who didn't have a chance to make it access to it as well. So Adam, why don't we go ahead and get things kicked off then? The idea behind this, your team, my team, we had a quick chat about this. What you guys are doing with Flip Hacking Live 2024 is an amazing fit for everybody at the Launch Control audience. It's no kind of guru pay gates and working through it for months. You guys are just going to get right to it, and a 3-day live event that anyone can join. And you've got a 5-step blueprint that is going to really help people get up to that 10K month passive income number that I'm trying to get to as an investor, that I know our audience, the Launch Control, is trying to get to it as an investor. So, this is going to be great for me to listen in and learn. So let's kick things off by you just kind of diving into what you guys have coming up next week, what they can expect, and then we'll talk about SMS engagement through in that process as well, just a bit.
Yeah, so just real quick, Michael, first off, thanks for allowing me to come on and just even have this chat. I think I love real estate, super passionate. We do like, I don't know, maybe 60, 80 wholesale flip, novation. Like we have all the tools in our company. So we're actively doing a lot of residential properties, or a good amount, but I'm also buying rentals. And um my partner is a guy named Bill Allen, who's a Navy test pilot. We kind of have similar just paths. He's about 5 years ahead of me, but I was buying rentals like turnkey market value from a turnkey company as an active duty Marine. And I felt like it was like really slow. So I needed to build other skill sets. And what I discovered was there were two skill sets that I needed personally to get velocity and go faster, get more passive income, get more active income. And that was finding off-market deals and raising capital. So this past year, as we kind of come out of this market that finally adjusted after a decade, and the prices didn't really like go crazy down or anything, but they did drop a little and then kind of even off. So we still believe it's a great market. But what we did see was some really high volume flippers who didn't own any assets really struggled and got into some hot water. But we had other high volume flippers who got in a little bit of hot water, but did okay because they owned a bunch of assets. So then we decided to like, let's do a study on all these really successful businesses. Like, why were we fine? Why were we not stressed out? Why were some of these people stressed out and some were not? And we went back and looked at our own like careers in doing this and other businesses. And we just saw so clearly the difference was like these five things that if you do these five things, you will build like a big financial moat, which allows your active income to be accelerated, but your passive income to grow along with it, which I think is the piece that is missing from most of the things that we see on the internet. Everybody's saying, go like wholesale a deal and make 5K, go flip a house and make 40K. But that's very, very short-sighted if you want to be in the game for a long time and build meaningful wealth. So the the conversation here is really about these five parts of this framework. And the first part, Michael, is simply focus. It's just focus. So when we talk about focus, it's a number of different things. There's layers to this portion of it. The first thing is focus on what you want to do. Build one skill set at a time. So if you've been in this industry or you're breaking into this industry or you're trying to get a deal or get your next deal, that focus is heavily on finding off-market deals. That's great. You're building that skill set. Okay. Some of you may be thinking like, I'm just trying to get into it for the first time. So part of the focus is focusing on your market selection, understanding how to evaluate a market. And primarily, honestly, market evaluation, people will wave all kinds of crazy numbers in front of you. It's all about supply and demand. Business fundamentally is about supply and demand. The real estate market fundamentally is about supply and demand. So being able to look up, like say, for example, if you're a wholesaler, how many houses are available within a certain criteria for me to go after, maybe using launch control or something like it, versus how much demand do I have from my buyer? If I'm wholesaling it, that means how many cash buyers are active in that market and starting to evaluate that and compare markets. So we're talking about focus of your skill and strategy, focus of your market. And then another part of that is focusing on yourself and what limiting beliefs that you may have, because I really didn't know what was possible until I saw somebody else doing it, right? It's like, I want to do a deal and maybe my top end is I can do a handful of deals or 12 deals or even 20 until I get into a room and I see somebody literally doing 40 a month. And I'm like, I can't even wrap my mind around that, right? Until you grow and build those skills. So like just understanding and being aware that you have limiting beliefs and a lot of them are tied around your fear of failure. It's like, well, what if I dream big and go after that, but I fail? Like, can my ego take that? What about Facebook and social media? If I have to tell people, like, I said I was going to do a zillion deals and I did 5 this year, like, who cares? You did 5. So it's self-awareness when we talk about focusing on yourself and understanding that we all have limiting beliefs, right? You may want to grow launch control to $1 billion business. And even if you believe that at your core, on your journey, you're going to hit challenges, self-doubt's going to creep in, you're going to have rough patches, you're going to have wins too. But when that self-doubt creeps in, you start to get limiting beliefs. And being able to kind of break through those ceilings is genuinely a superpower for a lot of entrepreneurs. And it works a lot better when you can keep your belief system supercharged by being around other people who are going through those things or have busted through those ceilings already. So we'll talk a lot about focus at Flip Hacking Live. Now that's kind of there's some tactical stuff and there's some heady stuff in there. And if people don't know, this is like a public event that 1,000 to 2,000 people have been coming to for 10 years. And what's really different, at least what I found when I came to it for the first time in 2020, was it was the first event that people actually taught me how to do something that I could implement. It wasn't like, here's a concept, learn how to do BRRRR or something, right? And it's like, how do I do it though? Where do I get the money? How do I find the house? Like they just talk about the concept. Where in this case, and there's not a bunch of like famous Instagram people that teach at this event, that present at this event, that it's all actual operators who are teaching a system that is currently working in their business that fits within this framework. So
Well,
it kind of
that's
starts.
one of the things. Oh, so I was just gonna say, like an event like that, it's such a great bridge from what you're talking about in that first kind of F, right? Of like, um, there's a lot of people when you're just looking at it online and you're reading and you're seeing these cliche, like you got to jump, you got to make the leap, but to be surrounded by people that have jumped, that have made the leap, and can tell you their experiences and can and from your guys' perspective, people that have been wildly successful at this, to show you very clear, tangible steps, so it doesn't seem like such a mystery. It's an amazing kind of bridge towards really connecting with a successful community and having the blueprint that you need right out of the gate by starting with community.
Yeah, it's that I mean, and that is like, and that's kind of what prevents people too, is like not having a blueprint or not feeling like they have enough information to move forward. Kind of generically you hear it thrown around like analysis paralysis. That's not it. Like that is made up. Like that's not a real thing. That's what it really is fear. Like my fear of either failing or succeeding, what happens next. It's the uncertainty, the unknown that really keeps people stopped. And I know this because I spent 20 years in the military, in the Marine Corps, and we literally trained to uncertainty, like how to overcome it psychologically, physically, because it does things to your body. Like it physically does things to your body that prevents you from moving and doing the thing you need to do. And just being aware of that, thinking through that, and recognizing it. So when it does come up, you're able to put things in place to overcome that. I mean, it's a real thing, right? There's a psychological effect called fight or flight. You end up in a dangerous scenario and you hear these stories of this heroic people, like the twin towers go down and all these firefighters are like running into the chaos. Those people, their nervous response system went into fight mode, while others may have curled up in the corner and like literally couldn't move. It went into flight mode. They're running away from it because their body isn't allowing them to do it. And
Yeah.
it's this like mental state, this fear tied to your actual body's response system, which is designed to protect you from danger. So if your mind is wired to believe, if I take the next step, there's risk, it's dangerous, it's going to prevent you from physically moving forward on that thing. And that's what's stopping you from being successful. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, I think just my opinion, there's also a bit of, and I think it's part of the fight or flight thing is, when you've got, I don't know, 5 grand in the bank, 10 grand in the bank, there's kind of like you want to literally like squirrel it away, right? You want to save it because that's safe. And so when you hear people say, like, you have to spend money to make money, and that spending money is part of taking that risk, it's hard to get past that, right? It's hard to take even a small chunk of change that you've saved and to put that towards actually making money or towards the education you need to make money. It's a hard leap to make, but you go to an event like this and there are hundreds, if not thousands of people that have gotten past that barrier and are now seeing really great returns coming in. So, you've got the ability to, really access not only the success steps, but also just kind of the guidance and support that you need to do it, to make the leap.
Yeah, and what I always do this with, like, people want to talk about real estate, like what's working today, and all I do is I just say, let me show you the key performance indicators, the measure of the effectiveness of my marketing. These are things that I spent money on in order to get a return on it. And what they see is like, a bunch of marketing channels that all are bringing in money. And the point of it is really just to show them that, hey, this all actually works. And I actually don't have a special skill set that you don't have. Like you're actually capable of doing this too. but I'm showing you down the road this uncertainty. I'm clearing it up for you because I'm showing you actuals. Like this is working and it
Yeah.
can work for you too. So I think that's really important. And yeah, so that kind of is the root of the start of the 5F framework is kind of the focus, the mindset, the market, the niche, the strategy that you're going to go after, because it does require a level of focus. And then this is probably where the rubber meets the road is, okay, I want to do this. I want to go get off market deals. I want to build wealth through real estate. How do I find them? Right. So the second F is find. And this is really comprised of two things. It's one thing to find and generate a lead. It's another thing to convert that lead into a contract, a deal, and then ultimately revenue. So there's basically a marketing and sales component of this. And um, it is a numbers game, and it all works, whether it's texting or cold calling or cold outbound, or it's expensive inbound. It all works. And if you are willing to commit resources, I say you have to spend resources to make money. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to spend money to make money, but you do have to expend resources to make money, because you can do two different things. Like if I'm spending 50,000 a month on direct mail and you're breaking into the market, like you probably can't do that. But you can go get launch control for significantly less and buy data for significantly less and invest in that and still get a return. Like there are people who are still, for every $1 they're spending on text messaging through launch control, they're making $5 or $6 or even $7 back into their business.
Yeah.
So it's like if I spent, now that's a combination of a little bit of money resources and a lot of bit of your resources, your time and commitment to it. But if I told you right now, Michael, like for every dollar you give me, I'll give you $5 back. How many dollars would you give me?
Most of them.
Yeah. Like if
Yeah.
not, maybe all of them. If like
Not
you're like,
all of them.
for one
Yeah.
dollar, you're giving me five back. Okay, you would say how much time? And I'd say 90 to 180 days. And
Yeah.
you'd be like, okay, like how much can I part with for 90 days to get my $5 back? Well,
Yeah.
that is the reality of this game. If you're willing to commit a dollar to make three, four, five, six, or seven, and some of your time, it works. I've not seen anybody who's committed resources in that way and genuinely commit to it not work for. I never. The people it doesn't work for are the people who don't actually commit.
Yeah, exactly. We have the advice we always give people coming in at launch control is to give it a minimum of 90 days. And it goes into the actual just nature of the deal closing structure in REI. You get your pipeline full, you start having those discovery calls, and aside from the really low hanging fruit, we're able to quickly close a deal in a week or 2 weeks. It's most of it is going to go through a process of you talking to the homeowner, maybe a 3 to 4 week close process. And so by the time you really get that system up and running and flowing, it's going to take about 90 days for you to go, oh, not only am I getting ROI out of this, that like you said, $5, $6, $7 against my ad spend, I also have this system in place where any Monday I can go into launch control, I can send out a couple batches of messages. I can generate active conversations with sellers, go through the discovery process, and I can see the way that I can make this a generative business day in and day out by just actively marketing. But the thing that I love about the order of what you're talking about is that you put focus first. You didn't put find first. And a lot of people come in and it's a very understandable leap is they start with find, and they'll come in and they'll get a subscription to launch control and they'll start sending those batches out looking for the inbound conversations to validate a market or to teach them about what the supply and demand is in that area. And it ends up being you go through a lot more data and you go through a lot more ad spend to get the results that you would have gotten if you took the time to do focus first, right? If you do that first, the results are going to come in a lot faster in the find uh, part of your constructing your business model, you know?
Yeah, and what I'll tell you is we've done over 1,000 deals, but with our data on closed deals, and we look into our CRM, our average time from the time a lead hits our CRM, so that lead is like, boom, it's in our CRM that said this person has a house they want to sell, to the time we sign a contract with that lead, on average is 59 days. From the time we sign a contract to the time we close a wholesale deal, on average is like 24 days. Okay, so what does that tell me? That tells me there's about 75 days from the time I spend dollars on marketing to the time I bring revenue into my business. So when you hear people like Michael who say, in order for this to work, you genuinely have to give it 90 days, is because there's a thing called a cash conversion cycle. And there are things in real estate that take time. Like, people don't, do people call us and say, yes, I need to sell my house right this second and sign up? Yes, that happens maybe 1 out of every 20 or 30 times, but that's not the norm. The norm is, I'm seeing what my options are, I'm thinking about it, I have all these things going on, and it is our responsibility to nurture that person, figure out what their problem is, and solve it. And that does not happen typically in a one call close. It just doesn't. And I have tons of data points to tell you exactly what it is, which is about 59 days from the time they come into our CRM to the time we sign a contract, and another 24 days to close it and realize revenue back into the business. So yeah, there is a time delay on marketing spend. And this is where people get in trouble when their mind's not correct, because what happens psychologically is, we spend a little money, we are a little nervous to do it, like, oh man, I need this money back. And 3 weeks goes by and we don't feel like we're getting the result we expected. So our expectations are misaligned with reality. Like, I'm not getting the result I expect. Therefore, the thing I'm doing doesn't work. But I'm sitting right next to you doing the same thing and closing deals because my expectations are based on experience and reality. Meaning, I know that I need that 90 days from the time I spend a dollar to the time that money comes into my business. And if I do it consistently and long enough, it starts to stack and build. And it doesn't just become one deal closed in 90 days. I do this so long over so much time, and I don't ever stop, and I'm consistent. Then it becomes two, and then three, and then five, and then 10, and then 12. And then it can be as big as you want it to be as you scale up your infrastructure. But it doesn't have to be. You can keep it small and keep 4 or 5 deals a month and be happy making tens of thousands of dollars actively. That's totally possible. But what you have to do is recalibrate your mind away from the expectation and the result and onto the activity. My focus needs to be, if I'm doing direct to seller marketing to find off market deals, then I need to know this. My leads are the oxygen of my business. And the minute I stop generating leads, I strangle my business from having oxygen, my business dies. So I've always got to be generating leads, and then I've always got to be focused on the activity of working with those leads to give them a solution that makes sense with them. And not, if I'm overly focused on the outcome, now I'm not saying don't measure the outcome. I'm saying if I'm focused on that, I will be disappointed because my expectations will not be aligned. My focus is always on the activity, what it takes to be on the phone with those sellers, to have conversations, to follow up with those sellers, to nurture them, to genuinely solve their problems in order to create situations where they are taken care of and we end up making money.
Yeah, one of the things that we really stress, and it goes into that 90-day ramp, is that we want launch control to be foundational to people's businesses. It's like having an email address or having a website. We want it to just be a foundational part of what they do. And the reason being is, aside from the obvious reason of us being a subscription-based service, is that we want that 90-day ramp to happen one time. Right. So if you make that 90-day ramp, you get through that period, as you said, opportunities start to stack. And so you close a deal on a Tuesday and you've got another one that's about 7 days out, and you've got another one that's 21 days out. And you're able to start to see those opportunities stacking up. And as you said, that's where scalability comes, right? That's where you go from 5 deals a month to 10 to 20, if you want 20. And you can always cap it, right? Like you can always cap it based on your focus and what you want out of your business. But if you shut that pipeline off, and you're not actively sending messages through launch control, or you take an 8-month gap in your direct mail process, or you turn off your PPC campaign, then those pipelines empty out and you have to start again. And for each one of those pipelines, you're looking at, again, a 90-day gap where you essentially have to kind of eat it, right? Because you're just restarting that pipeline. So if you're able to find within your area of focus a consistent flow of marketing, whether it be through launch or whatever marketing channels you're implementing, stay consistent, because then you never have to re-ramp.
Yeah, and what we're gonna do, Michael, at Flip Hacking Live in October is we're gonna bring in. It's not just gonna be me showing my business. Of course, I'll do some presentations about some of the things that are working for us, but it'll be other business owners across the country. These are not like gurus or people. These are operators who are going to come in and present on the marketing channel that they've mastered, exactly how they're doing it. And it's, I mean, that's kind of the charge to them. Like, hey, we'd love for you to present. They're people in our community, and they're excited to provide value and give. So we'll go through some unpaid and some paid marketing sources and strategies that are working today. And then we'll bring up we have a sales, somebody who does sales in our community, like real estate sales, Lindsay, with Blackjack, our company. She teaches our sales strategy to the whole community. So she will teach our sales strategy to anybody who comes to Flip Hacking Live, and it'll be really powerful. So that'll be fine. We'll go through all the marketing and all the sales and conversion stuff anybody could need. Tyler Jensen's going to talk about lead intake and nurture, and just some really powerful stuff. And then what we'll talk about is fund. Okay, this is the second limiting belief people have. So if you remember, I said there's 2 skills you need: the ability to be able to find the deals, and then the ability to raise capital to have funds to do something with it. And let me tell you something, if you're a wholesaler and you're like, well, I'm just wholesaling, I don't need capital, you are missing a lot of revenue in your business if you don't have the ability to buy a property. And I'm not saying you need to buy every property. I'm just saying you need the ability to. Why? 2 reasons. Psychologically, you operate from a position of advantage. You're going to be better at what you do, knowing that you can close if you need to. 2, there will be some property opportunities that come up that you could literally just buy and list on the market as they sit and make a lot of money. I did this on a property in Tennessee, and it was like a nice property, affluent property. We bought it for 570. We turned around and sold it for 730 and netted almost 100K. So it's totally possible. So it's important. And we will talk about exactly, like, most people be like, I don't know anybody with money. We'll totally debunk that. I've personally raised over $10 million. Bill has probably raised $40 million this year. This is like his topic of discussion on raising capital for real estate, and like, your socks will be blown off. We did a call with somebody about 3 or 4 days ago, and they said, I have this deal and I don't have money for it. They walked through the numbers on the deal. The deal was incredible. Bill said, I'll do a post on your Facebook page, like from you, and you'll raise money. He literally wrote this post. She posted it. 2 days later, she had the whole thing funded.
Amazing.
Because of how he framed it, how he talked about the opportunity. Most people think they need money. In reality, they have an opportunity. And if they approach more conversations like that, they would raise a lot more money. Because they're in their mind, they need the lender, but in reality, the lender has capital sitting there stagnant and needs to place that money, and ideally in a good deal. So if you have a good deal, I'll tell you this, there's like $9 trillion in the economy right now. There's not 9 trillion good deals in the economy. So there's far more money out there than there are good deals. It's just an outsized bet. Your ability to raise capital is only limited by your mindset. It just really is. They might say, well, I don't have experience. Well, if you have a really good deal, you can still get money. It just might be a little more expensive. That's fine. Still fits, still allows you to complete the deal. You're still able to make money. So we'll go deep into raising private capital, and we'll bring other people on who are leveraging hard money loans with hard money lender and a mix of private capital to get velocity in their business, keep their businesses liquid. A lot of flippers have problems with cash flow. Like they'll be flipping a bunch of houses, but they never have any cash. Like there's a few tweaks you can make in your business where that is never a problem again. And we'll talk through all that. Like we had a guy last year, a guy named Michael. He wasn't raising enough capital. He was having issues. He's like, I got cash flow issues. Like I got all this equity. I'm broke. Literally like one tweak in his business. I just saw him in August. He's like the happiest guy ever. He's like, it's all works. I'm making money and I'm like super excited and happy. So all this stuff is like strategies that are like real and work today. So we'll go through funding and then we'll go to finish. What we consider that's it. So we go from focus, define, to fund, to finish. And in this finish portion of the framework, this is everything from the mechanics of a rehab, if you're a rehabber, and strategies that make sure you're on time and on budget and making money. This will also be disposition strategies for wholesalers and all the nuance that happens between the time you get a house under contract and the time you sell it on the back end, right? So this is kind of the mechanical piece inside the business. So everybody talks about getting the property and selling the property, but there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens in between. And we'll have people come on and cover all of that stuff. So we're really excited to give those systems away. And then the last part is fuel, 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 and that's scaling your business, but doing it responsibly. Oh, let me back up about finish because there's a unique part of it. We focus, like most people in our community, focus heavily on finding great deals, flipping them, wholesaling them. But we also have a lot of people who own 30 or 50 rentals or 70 rentals or 100 rentals. So they're finding these great deals. And if you ever talk to an OG in real estate, been around doing it for 20, 30 years, what's your number one regret? Well, I didn't keep more houses. Almost to a T. It's either I didn't buy more or I didn't keep more. And one thing we emphasize is not just making a bunch of active income, but getting it into assets that's also kicking you out dividends, right? And not only is it doing that, it's helping to shelter your taxes. You're not paying as much. I paid $0 last year. Why? Because I own a bunch of assets. I was able to depreciate those. Not only that, I have a bunch of equity. So that helps my net worth. That helps me get better loans and better lending terms. And if I ever got into a pinch, I can sell assets off, realize equity, and I'm not stuck because the market dropped or changed. I'm fine. And that's a big piece I think that's been missing from the industry. Of course, people do it and talk about it, but the people who just do rentals have the same problem. It's slower. They're not increasing their active income as fast or as much as they want to. They're building wealth over time, but they can't do it any faster. The most powerful investors are the ones who I'm out finding great deals. I'm turning some of them to create big active checks, but I'm also keeping some of them to build wealth and build a financial moat around my business. If you imagine you get your flipping or wholesaling business up to 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 deals in a month, and you're running and there's a lot of capital outlay that's starting to happen because now you have a staff and now you have marketing, but you're also collecting checks from these passive assets. Like you've got this like holistic approach to real estate investing, and it's not just feast or famine on the sales hamster wheel, and it's not just rental Rhonda who can't create any fast active income to take advantage of opportunities. It's a combination of both those things. So we'll talk about that a lot in the finished portion of this. And then the last portion is scale. A lot of people talk about, get to 10, 20 deals in a month and you can do it really fast. You can do it really fast. You will probably also break everything. And we're going to bring in Mike Simmons and a couple other people who have been doing this for a long time. Like Mike's got a great story. Scaled this business to $1 million in the first year, 7 figures of revenue in the first year. Completely broke everything. Luckily, he didn't lose a bunch of money. He still made a little, but it was broken completely. Had to burn it all down, rebuild it in year two. And he's both built it and broke it because he didn't do it the right way. And he's built it massively, did it the right way, scaled responsibly. And he's going to give that entire framework and playbook on how he did that. So I think it's going to be incredible, man. If anybody's ever been in the past, they know, like, the feedback I always get is, I can't believe people are sharing that much. And it's not us, like, it's not 7 figure flipping doing all, it's just like other businesses in our community who are coming up and they're just saying, this is what I do and this is what works. And here's exactly how I do it.
Yeah, and it sounds that, well, it is going to be a really amazing event. I love everything you're saying about teaching towards diversification and teaching people to really set themselves up for the long run with this. Because I agree with you. Everyone that I know that is like a top 1%er in the REI industry, they've got X number of doors. They wholesale on an active basis every month. They own, a big amount of money in just equity across the board. They might be getting into land. They might be getting into storage units. Like they're taking the idea of real estate investing and the cash flow that they have coming in, and they're just getting creative with it and finding ways to really grow their, call it an empire, but they're really growing their portfolio up to a point where it is recession proof. It's it's fluctuations in the market proof. They could take a year off and they'd still have plenty of money flowing in because of the systems and the portfolio that they've set up for themselves. So it really gives a ton of freedom to their future and to their present, I suppose. But that kind of loops all the way back to like what you guys were saying about focus in the beginning, right? If you can get up to that place and you can have that level of diversification, then you're sitting pretty, and you guys are going to give people the playbook to do all of that, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like, this is like, when we went back and looked at it, what it was like, why this framework is the framework is because it's just fundamentally a sound investment. So you use the word diversification. If you come out of real estate and you talk to somebody about building wealth and they say, invest in the stock market, diversify, spend less than you make, increase your active income, invest the gap, buy stocks or assets that return money back to you. It's no different. It's fundamentally just like the basics of investing. It's increase my active income, keep my spend under control. If you turn into if you want to be a Lambo bro and you want to follow the people who are like in front of the yellow Lamborghini talking about like get rich in real estate by next month, like that's just not real, man. That's just
Yeah.
not the way real estate works. It's the most powerful investing strategy for all the reasons real estate is the best vehicle, which I won't dive into, but if you build it the right way, it can take somebody normal. Like, I'm a United States Marine making meager money and I'm building a real estate company on the side. And people are like, how do you have time? It's like, what do you mean? How do I have time? I'm just committed to doing this to build it up so that I don't have to have the risk of needing a job all the time. Because people are like, that's risky. I'm like, having a job is risky. Like, look at these people in the tech industry who are $200,000 engineers getting laid off because the tech
Yeah.
industry took a hit, right? And because
Yeah.
you see
Yeah.
these guys.
Of course. And they don't have 15 doors providing cash flow coming in every month as backup. They don't have they don't have equity stacked up in a couple properties that they own. They don't have any other, stream of income. So when that gets cut off, they're at zero, right? And they're going to have to restart somewhere, most likely with another job. So again, like with diversification, even if you decided like wholesaling is just too much turnover. It's too much hustle. I'm going to focus on rentals and other kind of real estate related investments. You can do that because you've built up enough diversification that there's no version of the rug being pulled out from underneath you, which is again that level of safety is incredible.
And even if wholesaling wasn't your vehicle, so the point isn't like you make a great point, but I want to emphasize it. So the point isn't like wholesaling is the way, flipping is the way, rentals are the way. The point is increasing your active income is the way,
Yeah.
then diversifying it into assets. And that's the most important. We're fortunate that I can go out and get launch control for a super affordable price, get right in front of sellers and wholesale a deal, make 10, 20, 30,000. Like I closed a wholesale deal on Friday, literally this past Friday. We made 70 grand, one deal.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
closed one on Monday and we made 60 grand. And then I closed one today and we made 6 grand. Like that literally has happened over the last 3 days. So like active income.
Yeah.
Here's a parallel. This is not me. This is Arnold. Arnold Schwarzenegger just put out a Netflix series, and everybody should go watch this because Arnold is a brilliant person. He comes into the United States to be a bodybuilder, dominates the bodybuilding world, starts to make active income. Not the richest person in the world, but makes enough active income. He's living like a bodybuilder where all he does is spend his time in the gym. He's not spending money. But what does he spend his money on in California? He buys real estate. What did that do for him? Well, he increased his active income, he put it into assets, and then he sat back because he now has control over his life. He said, I'm going to become an actor. They go, great, your English is terrible. You can be like an extra in this movie. He goes, no, I'm going to be a front man. And I got enough money because I have these apartments kicking off cash to me to sit around and wait until you make me a front man. And in the meantime, I'll continue to develop my skill. So he does, and he gets into a Conan movie, and then he gets into Predator, and then he gets into like all of those 1980s Arnold movies where he's the front man.
Don't
And
forget Commando. That was a good one.
Commando, exactly. So, but the point is he becomes this action star, and the reason he became an action star is because he had the ability to say no to the first couple of offers because he made enough active income to invest it. He invested it. He was strong enough to then um, say no to stuff because now he's got dividends kicking off from this thing. And oh, by the way, he bought these assets in California in the 80s. So they just skyrocketed in value. And he just became an extremely wealthy person over time. Plus, he made a bunch of money in movies. But that was the point, was he increased his active income, put it into assets, and then had the power and control over his own life.
Yeah. No, and with the flip hacking event that you guys have coming up next week, October 10th through the 12th, um, one of the things that I was really excited about being able to put this out to our community as well is that it's something people can attend virtually. It's very economical, cost efficient for them to be able to do so, and it's something that that really anybody can gain access to. So to kind of playing off what you're saying, like to take a leap without having to put 5 grand out, without having to put, without having to book travel and book hotels and cross your fingers that this works out, or go to something that is going to teach you a very narrow window within a very narrow window of the investing process. So you're just learning sales tactics, or you're just learning text engagement, but you're not learning the rest of it. This is a way to just sit in for 3 days and really, really learn it all. And that's that, I think that's it's a great way for you guys to be able to offer this on a nationwide level, and for people wherever they are to be able to take that first kind of mini leap if they're not there, or if they're struggling to find their feet, to take that mini leap forward to really figure out where to fill gaps, because it's you guys are gonna what you're teaching them, they're gonna see the gaps in their own processes pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And we if you know anything about us, like we believe in abundance. Like we are big on, like, there are no trade secrets that I'm not telling anybody about this. It's my only thing that's working. Like our members are sharing openly. Like this is like no, and we'll share publicly. Like we'll take it all to Flip Hacking Live and say this is the best of the best right now. This is what's working today. And honestly, the community, the real estate community writ large is better for that. And I think that's like when you're able to give, which we love doing, and I personally love giving, and it's karma, man. It always comes back to you. So,
Yeah.
you give without expectation, and the world seems to find a way to take care of you.
Yeah, it's something that we talk about a lot on our in our community, and we have a podcast called Deal Nation, and it comes up on that a lot. But just the supportive nature of the real estate investment industry in general. Like you get in, like you said, like number three is fund, right? Like you get into that world and you're looking for the ability to JV a deal or need someone to lend you money to get your hands on that property that you really want. You get into the community and you will find help. You will find support. It's not as for as much competition as there is, there's an equal amount of people supporting each other and kind of growing their businesses together, which to me feels pretty unique. Like I don't have like a really you know, comfortable, calm, fun relationship with all launch competitors. I respect
Yeah.
them,
Well,
but we're
no,
not like we're
you're
not like
you're
best friends,
you're
and
right.
and
You're right. And even the difference, and I found this out, I got a real estate license a couple years ago because I wanted to get referral fees on all
yeah,
these leads we were generating. And what I discovered on the agent side of real estate was they don't collaborate. They don't tell each
yeah,
other anything. It's like, I'm not showing you how to do this. You're my competition. But I grew up in the real estate space where it's like, if I call you and I'm like, hey man, I'm like trying to dial this KPI in and my text marketing. Can you take a look at it? You're like, oh yeah, let me take a look at that for you. Tweak this one thing. And like the amount of people who have helped, this is why I'm so big on giving back. Like I broke into this world of real estate investing, and all I did was have hands down reaching to help pull me up. And that wasn't a surprise to me because I'm a military guy and that's kind of how it is there. But then when I started looking at other business industries, even retail agents, I was like, oh, it's way more competitive in all these other places where, your quote unquote competitors aren't giving you trade secrets. They're not telling you, little tips and tricks that are going to make you more money in your business or help you with your team. But in real estate investing, it 100% for whatever reason is this like incredibly abundant community.
yeah. And the like, I like that you brought up the real estate agents, right? Because there is a lot of competition there. I was talking to someone recently, and he said that they pulled something like 5,000 real estate agents, and maybe like 10% or less were actively working with wholesalers, which is which is crazy because you've got this whole community out there and that or just the distressed property market of people that are actively talking to sellers, vetting deals, finding the best deals out there, have a million ways that they can take a deal with wholesaling, subject to, hold on to it or rent it. They've got all these options. So you've got this incredible community of investors and you're not tapping into that. That's
Yeah,
that's wild to me,
I'll, I'll I'll tell a quick story because this just came up. So in the real estate industry, this thing became kind of popular. People were selling courses. They said like do novations, which is
Yeah,
really just kind of contractual legal way to structure a deal to sell it and help somebody. And by the way, novations are as old as time, right? This is a legal term that real estate agents get tested on their test. Okay.
yeah,
Just being used in a creative way by investors because investors are creative. So they go to a homeowner, the cash offer is too low, they need more money for whatever reason, no big deal. You can either list it with an agent. They're like, I don't want to work with an agent for X, Y, and Z reason. You go, okay, no big deal. I'll work with the agent for you. I'll give you a walkaway number guaranteed, and I'll take care of everything. Commissions with the agent on the back end, repairs after the inspection, all of it. So
yeah,
I see somebody recently like, novations are a scam. People are making less money because they're doing them. That's not true. I have a seller right now who her house needs repairs. She needed to remove the solar from her roof. She needed to replace the roof. She needed to put the solar back on. She needed electrical fixes. She needed her house to be prepared to sell, which meant getting an ozone machine and running it to get the smell out of it, meant getting the carpets cleaned 6 times and a handyman to take care of the rotted wood. She didn't have the resources to do that, meaning she didn't have the money nor the connections to get it done, have a capital outlay, and then sell her house for the most money she can get. And sure, there will be agents out there that can help her and would maybe do that for her, but they would be getting a commission, right? Like they're charging for their service. So we said we would do it all for her at this price. We'll take care of the commissions and we're just baking our fee in. We'll make 20, 25K. She's totally fine with it. Because what we did was solve a whole bunch of problems that she didn't want to deal with. And by the way, we have an agent who works with investors who's helping us to do this. So the agent does actually get a commission. We just take care of it. We make a little money. The seller gets the number they want and we solve all the problems. She doesn't have to do anything other than sign documents.
And what's the turnaround time?
Agents aren't
like that?
Oh, I mean, like we're doing this in between 30 and 90 total days, usually fast, but it can take a little longer because it does go to the MLS. But people are like, why would they do that? They're losing money. Well, here's the thing. If she sold that house as is, she would get less money than what I'm giving her and solving all her problems. Why? Because she couldn't sell it to a VA buyer or an FHA buyer, or her buyer pool is smaller. And if that agent who is saying these guys are not like these guys are scamming doing novations, like where are you, Mr. or Mrs. Agent, to help this person out? You're like, no, that's too much work. I'm going to go take the easy $1 million listing and I'm not going to help somebody on a $200,000 house. Why? Because it's not worth their time. But guess who comes in and cleans up and solves all those problems? The investor does. And they shouldn't be ashamed of charging a fee to do that, just like an agent shouldn't be ashamed of charging a commission for doing all the work that they do for a buyer and seller. Like, I think everybody should get paid for their service. I think agents who can't recognize the value of a wholesaler or an investor, they're losing a lot of money in their business because they're unwilling to work with them. Because what happens when I get a novation, even though I'm an agent? I don't list it. I want to go hire the best agent who's going to give that house the best opportunity to sell as fast as possible so I can solve the seller's problems. So now I got agents who are willing to work with us and do a great job. And because of it, they're getting listings. And I'm not charging them a referral fee. They're just getting a listing and we're solving all the seller's problems together.
Yeah, I think it's something that kind of gets forgotten sometimes when even amongst real estate investors is a lot of the success metrics that we look at are deal flow and cash flow, right? And diversification of portfolio. But what gets forgotten sometimes is how much we help solve problems for people that don't have other solutions, right? Or where it would be extremely difficult for them to find solutions. So it's within a deal, there's often a solution or a solution being provided. And I think that sometimes gets forgotten, like helping that. I'm sure that person you're referring to is extremely happy with the help that she's received, with the outcome that she's received. And she wouldn't have had that without the intervention of an investor.
Five-star reviews all day. Agents can go read. I can't believe they did this for me. People listen. This is the other thing. This is the other misnomer. By the way, are there bad wholesalers, bad investors out there who are doing unethical activities? 100%. We don't do that. Everything is above board and everything is transparent. There's no sleight of hand in our company. That's number one. Number two, are there a ton of bad agents who have no idea what they're doing? They don't even own a house. They've never bought or sold their own house. They didn't. And by the way, an agent getting their license doesn't teach them how to be an agent. They could be selling their first or second house. They don't know anything. So are there bad agents in the marketplace? A ton of them. Okay, that doesn't represent the good agents. That doesn't represent the good investors. It's about being transparent and ethical and solving a problem. I've never ever once convinced somebody to sell me their house for cash instead of listing it and make more money. In fact, one of the first questions we ask them is, why don't you list this with an agent? You can make more money on the open market. The seller will then tell us why they don't want to do that. Okay, that's fine. Let us give you other options. And they're like, please do. And we do. Like, I've never convinced somebody to sell me their house for less money. It's just not how it works. They tell me a pretty massive problem on why they don't want to sell it with an agent. And we go, okay, we can solve that problem and we would be at this price. Or you can go list it and I think you could get more money, but here's, what that's going to take. And they're like, okay, fine. I'd rather just go with you. It's convenient and easy. Same reason you have Uber Eats today. Why don't you
Yeah.
drive 5 minutes down the road and pay $10 for your Chipotle meal? Nope, you sit in your office and you pay $25 for it. Why? Because it's convenient.
Yeah, and we've got thousands of investors across the country building investment businesses in every market. And I cannot tell you the number of times I've heard the story of someone saying where a homeowner basically lowballed themselves and were perfectly willing to take a really low number, and the investor said, "Hold on," and then said exactly what you said. Well, you have a couple other options here. Like, why don't you sink a bit of money into it and sell it? Why don't you consider subject to? Why don't you, and like I said, they'll come with the reason, and the reason is kind of baked into their motivation, and they thought through it. But it's the stories of providing options and providing different paths to success for homeowners or to resolution for homeowners outweigh the, oh, I got over on this person stories, like not 10 to 1, probably 10 to 0. I
That
just
barely
don't.
happens.
Yeah.
And if it does, those people don't stay in business and the investor space. It just,
They watch the YouTube video of the guy in the suit
yeah,
leaning on the Ferrari and they're out 60 days later. Right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Man, this is incredible. I love launch control. I love what you guys are doing. I love here's what I love, right? Like launch control has has a product that allows us to get in front of a lot of people and let them know that our service is available, ours being investors. And it does it for a cost that doesn't break the bank. And like we in seven figure flipping, like we highly promote like your business needs to be profitable. If you haven't been profitable, we need to look at that and make sure we're executing our business plan in a way that you as the business owner are making money. And you got a platform that does that. You've got great people on your platform, and yeah, you just provide value to the marketplace. And I hope that the folks in your community who don't know us will come check us out at Flip Hacking Live, because I mean it's virtual, like you said. You don't need to get a hotel. You don't need to you don't need to pay for a plane ticket. Like you don't got to spend $3,000 to come. You can just go virtually, commit to being there for 3 days on your computer in your living room, and just let us pour into you. And by the way, like it's $97. And frankly, like most people are going to spend that stopping at the corner store, Starbucks in a week or a month. And $97 investment is like, I think for a lot of people, it's definitely doable, and we try to make it affordable. Here, even when we have our in-person events, which our tickets are like 297. Most other tickets are 1,000 or $2,000. We just don't do that because we don't want to create this barrier to this information. Like people should have this information. People should have an opportunity to build their business, to get out of their W-2s if that's what they want, to build legacy for their family. Like it's what drove me to this industry, and I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, like anybody can do this, even a dumb Marine like me.
Yeah, I appreciate I appreciate you saying that about launch. We have our goal is not messages sent. Our goal is conversations started, and we want to really fit into the kind of structure that you guys are helping people build, right? And you need like you said, build awareness of what the solutions that you can provide, and building up in those kind of focus stages where you're finding the deals that fit into what you're trying to build in that time frame. What you're trying to accomplish in the next 6 months. We want to help you accomplish that. We don't want you to send more messages than you need to send. We don't want you to buy a subscription that you don't need. We want you to be able to focus in on that market that you've analyzed, start the conversation, start building your business, and then when you're ready to scale, talk to us about it, and we'll work on scaling right along with you. But when
Hey,
you're
Michael,
successful, we're
we
successful.
we got to attack this question real quick though, because there's a
Yeah, of
narrative in the
course.
industry. You and I talked about this a little bit. Hey, we've got people out there saying like text messaging and cold calling is dead because carriers aren't letting text messages get to people. And it was eye-opening for me to have this kind of one-on-one with you about, no, there are still plenty of people on platform making, doing deals, and technologically, like, text messaging is not dead. It's a misnomer. So I'm just curious, because when our people see this, I want them to know, like, if I got this from you, like, what are you telling these people?
Well, 10DLC, which the carriers implemented to basically weed out spam and phishing techniques or phishing tactics within their ecosystem. When I say ecosystem, I'm talking about billions of messages being sent every day, right? So we're talking about wide net, not focused on real estate at all, right? This is just a big wide net to really clear out the system. It had some bumps, but it did work, and a lot of the negative traffic has been removed. So real estate investors that are on the platform are getting really great results, better than ever in terms of return on investment of conversations leading to deals. Now, of the millions of messages that get sent out just through launch control, now are some messages on the carrier side going to get blocked? So, for instance, the recipient sees it, they type in a code, they mark it as spam, or they report it to the carrier, say that it's not a message that they want to receive. Yeah, of course, you're going to get that in real estate investment or any other outbound industry. But percentage of messages sent versus the number that happens is extremely low. Like the stats that you see in launch control of messages delivered and the response rate, we take a lot of pride in making sure that that is 100% accurate and measurable. So what you're seeing is true. Those are the messages that got through. Those are the conversations you were able to start. And if you've got those responses coming in, starts to become a question of the business of real estate investment and how many of those you're able to pivot to discovery calls and how many of those discovery calls you're able to pivot to new business. But the game of outbound marketing for outbound engagement for real estate investment really hasn't changed despite all of the noise. You just, at this point, you need to get registered with the carrier so they know that they're in a business to business relationship with your company. And as long as you stay within comfortable bounds in terms of making sure when someone does request to opt out, you opt them out, following launch control protocols in terms of the cadences of how often you reach out to people and the way you reach out to people, and you can maintain a consistent business, building your pipeline up through outbound without issue.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, so I think it's great that there's real good perspective there. Man, I hope everybody understands that, because it's still a viable strategy today that's working really well for people. And I hope that your folks get to see us and have an opportunity to come to Flip Hacking Live. And I'm grateful that you're willing to collaborate with us and have this conversation today, educate. And I hope to see everybody at Flip Hacking Live on October 10th through 12th. I really do. I think it changes lives. It changed mine.
Yeah, me too. I mean, we're all about helping investors build their businesses, helping investors succeed. You guys are on the same mission. You're really giving people all the tools they need to advance their businesses. So it's a good match. And yeah, I really hope that as many people in the launch community as possible can get out to the event. Like you said, it's $97. It's a low price point. Get out, soak it in, and apply it to your businesses. And anybody from your community, come talk to us. If you've got any lingering questions, we're happy to have a conversation. No questions asked. Just give us a shout. Oh, and for everybody that is attending and watching, we put into the chat for launch subscribers looking to attend Flip Hacking. Make sure you use that link. And then anybody in the 7FF community looking to join launch, make sure that you use Adam's link here, and we'll get you into a conversation with our team.
Yeah, love it, man. Flip Hacking Live /launch, baby. Let's launch. Love it. All right. Thanks, Michael, man. I appreciate you.
All right. Yeah, appreciate your time. All right. Bye.